All right, are we ready, people? Now that your teacher's here? All right, so go ahead and press play on your playlist, please. And we're gonna start standing on the mat. All right, now please take a deep breath with me and shake it out. I need a little shake right now, so shake with me. And plant your feet and start to feel your shoulders, their mobility. And let's begin a little backstroking action, one arm at a time. Slow and complete arm movement. One more. Now I'm going to turn sideways so you can see better. Folding forward. Uttanasana, but we're going to take it a little further into the gorilla pose. So we step onto our palms, right? Toes right up to where the palm meets the wrist. Gorilla pose, also known as Padahastasana, hands to feet. And as we lay pressure into our hands, we can feel the heart, back door, front door, opening a little. Now let's remove hands from feet and take a chair pose. Body looks like a lightning bolt. Let's stroke our arms down and back on the exhale. Inhale, arms up. Big, beautiful arm strokes. Feel how that movement, it helps to animate, to bring your pose life. Now let's stand up and reach up to the sky, hands upward. And maybe we lean backward just a little bit. And exhale, swan dive into your forward fold again. Placing palms under the footprints, gorilla pose. Breathing deeply, right? Let's take 3 deep breaths in gorilla. And now release your hands, and we're gonna walk hands forward to downward facing dog pose, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Feel free to shift your heels, right? One heel presses down, the straightens. It gives the dog some mobility, some shiftability, hind end. Keep on breathing, friends. You got this. Beautiful. Now let's bring our knees to the ground. Tabletop sets the frame. Now we'll draw out some cats and cows. Exhale draws your cat, opening across the shoulder blades. Inhaling cow, opening across your heart in front of your shoulders. Exhaling. Inhaling. Take it slow. Ride your breath, so to speak. All right, let's return to downward dog. Tails up. Let's walk our hands back to forward fold position, right? Bent in half, folded forward, stepping onto the handprints into gorilla pose, Padahastasana. Release your hands and have a seat in your chair pose, a lightning bolt strike of energy from your fingerprints to your feet. Engage your breaths deeply. Let them fill up every shape that you make tonight. And we're going to form into a lot of shapes. Inhaling upward, we reach. Let your arms fall to your sides, mountain pose. So we've seen a gorilla, we've seen downward dog, we've seen cat and cow poses. And all of those are warming us up and prepping us for what's coming forward. And even these back strokes, let's come back to that. Make them big so that you feel the chest stretch, shoulder mobility, and maybe a little stretch up the side body. We're opening lots of stuff. We're opening across the heart. We're opening our shoulders and our hips. All right, arms to our sides. Mountain pose again, please. Right leg lift and catch. Now release, right? Catch and release. Catch the left leg. Quadricep stretch. We need this. We need to unpack this to get on with our journey. Notice how I'm changing, right? That's the dynamics of yoga. But always pausing to find your balance. Now let's hang on to the right leg. Dancer pose, right? The song on the playlist is Om Namah Shivaya. We're hanging out and listening to the mantra of Shiva, Natrajasana, the Lord of the dance. Doing dancer pose. Release. Sides, right? That's the practice, friends. It's not about perfection. It's about the process. Finding your balance. Honoring every wobble. Mountain pose again. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale, swan dive into forward fold. Now we're coming back to downward facing dog. We've been here. Give yourself a little shiftability in your legs if you need it. Now let's touch knees down to the ground here. Tabletop again. Keep both hands on the ground in the moment. Lift your right leg up and bend your right leg. And then maybe lift it a little higher. You use hip extension to glutes, your hamstrings. And then you feel a stretch creep right up your right hip. Right knee to the ground. Left leg lift and bend. And then maybe you lift a little higher using hip extension. So we're working on tiger pose here. Bhujangasana. But we have both hands on the ground. Now lift your right leg. It's bent, it's lifted. Take your left hand and reach back. See if you can touch your foot. Tiger pose. Another variation. One arm. And change sides, right? Release. Lift. Left bent leg. Lift it. And right arm reaches back. Tiger pose. Bhujangasana. And we release. Let's take a little bow. Child's pose. Lengthen through your spine. Lengthen your arms. There's a beautiful balance here where you get a good stretch, but you're not overstretching. Can we find that and temper those energies? Right? A union of energy, of actions, What that means is you're lengthening, you're surrendering towards the ground, but you're not too far. You could still rise up at any time. And you're expanding and contracting. The beautiful dynamics of yoga. Bring that thought into play here. Back to hands and knees pose, cats and cows. Exhaling cat, inhaling cow. Now, I promised you a practice of yoga full of wild things. One of our peak poses tonight is actually called Wild Thing. That said, downward dog pose. Now, downward dog lifts right leg up. So down dog's balanced on 2 front paws and 1 back leg. Right leg lifted. Now bend your right leg and perhaps lift it a little higher, which again, the stretch starts to travel up your right hip. This is as far as we're going on this one. Now put your right leg down and let's do the same on the left. Left leg lift up, 1 leg downward dog. Bend leg and maybe lift a little more, but we're still balanced. We're in control. And that's important. All right, left foot on the ground. So I just gave you the pieces that you need, right? You do not have to back. But you may know this pose, this may be easy. If you're tentative, come to the point where you feel confident. Enjoy. Quadricep, the wild thing. From down dog, lift your right leg up. Bend your leg, and I mentioned drop back. So I start to drop my right toes and right foot back to the ground and lift the right hand. Oh my goodness, I'm balancing. Look, Mom, 1 hand, I'm balancing on the left arm. Right toes and left foot, right? Comfortable, balance. And you can flip back, right? Reverse back to your right leg up, downward dog. All right, put your right foot on the floor. Left leg lift. Left leg bend. Start to open through your hip and roll back to drop back. Wild thing pose. Quadricep. And we flip back, right? Downward dog. Left leg up. Hands and knees back to the ground. I hope you had fun with that one. And if you have any questions, if you're new to yoga, I'll be taking those questions after class for sure. Exhaling cat, inhaling cow. And notice these 2 poses come together a lot. They're made for one another. It's pose and counter pose in repetitive play. And when they work together with your breath, like I say, ride your breath, it becomes a beautiful flow called Cobra. And you can really feel all those chakra centers that run up the spinal chain. You're getting awakened from your root, your bottom, to your crown. Enjoy the ride. All right, downward dog, tails up, my friends. And then we walk our hands to the back of the mat. We're forward bent. We're moving into gorilla pose by stepping onto the palms. Feeling the breath enter the back of the shoulder space, the front of the belly, the sides of the rib cage. And release your palms. Chair pose, right? Take a seat. so I can finish all, telling you about our practice here. So we've seen gorillas and downward dogs and cats and cows, and we saw tigers. We did the wild thing pose, Quadricep. Now we're going to play with all of that. Let's inhale upward. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Now instead of down dog, walk out to plank pose. So a full plank is knees up. A modified plank is knees down, but you're still planking. Now 3 of them, your handprints are set, your arms feel strong. 3 modified plank push-ups, the trifecta. 1, 2, push back, child's pose, resting the center of your forehead. Breathing in deeply. All right, the next wild thing we're gonna meet, slide out onto your belly. And right now on your elbows. Now, once you set yourself here, hands are gonna move back to the side of your rib cage. We're Cobra pose, Bhujangasana. So feel again your heart and face lifting as you are anchoring mostly through your pubic bone. Exhale slowly to the ground. Inhaling up, we reach. Exhaling. Let's keep this Cobra flow happening. Two more, we rise and fall. Child's pose, smoothly we travel back. Downward facing dog pose. Now friends, lift your right leg up. Right leg bends. And we drop back to wild thing pose. Let's flip back. Right leg lifted. Variation of down dog. Now bring your right leg all the way to the front of the mat. Pigeon pose. Maybe you take another bow here. One more deep breath. And now we're going to return to downward dog. Now left leg up, y'all. Left leg bends and we drop back to wild thing pose. Quadricep. And we flip back, right? Left leg is up still. And we'll pull left leg forward into our pigeon pose. Sorry, I got some crazy quarantine hair and it's just not long enough to pull back. So we're making it work. Maybe you take a bow. Okay, let's rise, hearts and faces upward. Now, returning to downward dog. Walk your hands back to your feet. And chair pose, Utkatasana. Right. Like your arms are flying, right? Expanding out to sides, rising. Maybe your squat deepens, right? Oh, it looks like I'm flapping my wings now, doesn't it? As I rise and fall in the squat. Pretend you're flying with me. One more time. And then we rise all the way up, reach to the sky. Stand on right leg, dancer pose. Right? We've been here once tonight already. Good job. Right? Lift your back leg into the air. Change sides. Standing steady on left foot. Dancer pose. Lift your leg into the sky. Mountain pose. Inhaling up. Maybe you lean back and have a deep breath. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Walk to plank pose. Knees to ground to modify. Let's do 3 modified plank push-ups. Child's pose. All right, have a seat. Right leg, cross the thigh over the left. Change sides, left over right. Feel your thighs crossing. And then when you cross, you feel your foot come towards the lower leg bone. I just want you to find these connections before we're wobbling. Good job. Come back onto all fours, tabletop pose. Exhaling cat. Inhaling cow. Creating Chakravakasana. Now tabletop body, let's become a tiger again. Lift your right leg up. Bend your right leg. Left hand catches behind. Change sides. Left leg lift and bend. Right hand catch. Release and ease back into child's pose. Tune in, breathe deep. Feel your breath filling up 360 degrees of your body, your belly, ribs, and chest. I hope you're doing well out there, everybody. All right, back to knees pose. A few more cats and cows. Work it out. Any kinks that you might have brought to the mat with you? One more downward facing dog. Walk your hands back to your feet. Let's be gorillas again. And we release the palms. This time, let's just roll up to stand up. Standing tall, mountain pose. Take your right leg this time, cross over like a figure 4. So there's open space. The thighs aren't tight. Figure 4. Have a little seat. We're doing a standing pigeon. A good balancing pose. Change sides. Stand on right leg. Left leg, figure 4. You're adding that little element of chair sitting to create your standing pigeon. And the deeper you sit, the more you're going to feel it in your glutes. Mountain pose. Right leg now, instead of figure 4 with the space, we're going to go tight thigh cross. And right foot hooks the lower left leg, and we find our balance. Add a little bit of sitting in the chair. Arms forward. And your left arm's going on top. Eagle pose. Garudasana. Release. We're mountains, right? Eagle landed on the mountain. Left leg, crossover. Left foot hooks right lower leg. Have a little sit. Have a little sit. Right arm on top. We release, right? We untie and mountain pose again. Inhaling up. Exhale, swan dive again. Forward fold. Gorilla pose. Release the hands, right? And downward dog. Walk your hands forward again to downward dog pose. Take 3 deep breaths in downward dog. And give yourself the ability to shift through your legs and heels. And there's good stretches there. Now lift your right leg up to the sky. And let's flirt with our wild thing again. Take it slow. Find your confident point. We rewind and we pivot back. Our right leg is still lifted in down dog. And now we can pull the right leg forward into pigeon pose. Lay that front leg down carefully so that the knee feels good. And stay centered. You don't need to hit the ground with your buns or your pubic bone. They can be risen. They just need to be even. So stay even and lengthening and breathing. And maybe sinking or surrendering. We come back. If you drop down to your elbows, come back to your handprints. And we're going to meet back in downward dog. Now let's lift our left leg up and explore our wild thing pose again. Shoulder stability and integrity as you balance on your right arm. And let's move back to down dog with your left leg upward. And pull left leg forward into your pigeon pose again. Thoughtfully place left angled leg. Lengthen. And maybe you lower. But please keep breathing deeply. All right, have a seat. So you will rock onto your left glute, right leg swings around. Just have a seat here. Sit up tall. Check in with your body. Hopefully it's feeling different than when you sat on the mat earlier. A little rock to the right, to the left. Little circle around. Circle back around the other way. Now, hands and knees pose. Settling and breathing. Downward dog pose. Walk your hands back to your feet. You're forward bending. And then roll up to stand up. Take your right leg. Cross over the left. We're going into eagle pose. Left arm's the top arm. Settles into the crook of the right elbow. Lift your elbows. Garudasana. Now, mountain pose. Left leg crossover. Hook. Have a little seat. And now your left leg's on top, so your right arm is going on top. And you feel your tail feathers settling into your nest. Raise your beak, stay alert. Mountain pose. Let's try it again, because there's one key action that I haven't mentioned yet. Sorry, I'm gonna hit it this time. Right leg over, left arm on top. Raise your beak, squeeze your arms into one another and feel the space behind your heart, between your shoulder blades, open. It's good stuff. Change sides. Eagle pose again, right? Like a ninja. Mountain pose. Well done. Inhaling up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Downward dog. Knees to the ground, cat-cow flow, Chakravakasana. Smoothly. Tabletop pose. And from tabletop, lift your right leg up. We're visiting our tiger pose again. Vajrasana. Release and change sides. So the left leg lifts and bends, and right arm reaches back. And you give a little lift to the leg. Release left leg. Pull it up to the front of the mat. Pigeon again. Slowly surrendering. Maybe you touch down, heart to the ground. But if you do that, your hips are still level. Maybe being on handprints was really the good place. Dial it back to that place. Notice how I move a little bit when I'm practicing. I don't know if you've caught that. Now I'm pointing it out. But that's not just because the music's good, but it's because if I feel the pose going stagnant, that's kind of the opposite of yoga there. We want to brighten those places where you feel the murkiness. That's where we want the practice to penetrate. Now let's simply rock to the left hip and roll around. Spin it. And you're back in pigeon again on the other side. Your right leg is forward. You're recentering. Breathing. And maybe sinking, surrendering. All right, we rise. Now have a seat. Legs forward. Think about the gorilla pose. You know, you were standing and you were placing your feet on your palms. You don't have to go that far here, but it's very similar. Except this time we're in a seated forward fold. How close to that gorilla action, seated pose. Paschimottanasana. All right, we release. And we're going to go back, right? We just saw how the gorilla, that shape came back into play, but maybe in a little bit different of a direction or a little bit different body setup. But a lot of poses have similarities. That's why certain families of asana exist. And we've been working with the back bending family and forward bending family, which here we're forward folding, forward bending. Now, if we let go of our feet and place our hands on the mat behind us and lift the heart upward, now we're back bending. So we're getting a lot of length through the spine, a strong belly, and broadening across the heart and shoulders. Buoyancy in your heart. All right, let's sit forward, finding Paschimottanasana. And it doesn't have to be so gorilla-like. You can dial it back if that felt better. Do what feels right in your body. That's a huge part of your yoga practice. Yeah, you're listening to me for sure. Thank you. But you're also, even more importantly, listening to your body as you practice. All right, let's back bending again. Hands, arms strong. Heart puffs upward. All right. Different position. Coming onto hands and knees, tabletop. But even more than that, let's find modified plank. We've been there, but I promise no more push-ups. Now here, you're strong in your arms, your arm balanced. I'm starting to lower my belly and hips, so it's getting a little less planky, isn't it? But we don't want to sag down. We're going to press down through the tops of our feet, lengthen our legs, lift our knees, lift our hips. We're upward facing dog. Maybe you look upward. Maybe you have a little howl at the moon. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Now you can lower your knees to the ground. Child's pose, Balasana. And keep on breathing in your Balasana, your child's pose. So we've seen a lot of wild things through our practice tonight. We saw gorillas and the major pose of wild thing and tigers and the dogs downward and upward and cats and cows. And we saw some eagles and some pigeons. Good job. Let's peel ourselves up out of our child's pose. And notice we're meeting again on in tabletop pose. Turning to the right. And legs just start to slide or glide apart into frog pose. Bent legs are sliding apart, and when they slide apart, you can feel stretch running across your inner groins and thighs. Maybe we drop down toward those. It's going to bring us a little deeper into frog pose. We want to be able to breathe deeply and feel well balanced in frog pose. Bhujangasana. You might be nearing the ground. You might be making that descent. Maybe you, let's say, melt. One more deep breath. And then we're going to peel ourselves up out of our frog pose. Let's sit up nice and tall. So bent legs, adjust the spine, give your arms a little hug to legs. And notice when you do that, if you round. Let's unround as we sit, connecting arm bones to leg bones, kind of pulling ourselves together. I just shifted around because I did not feel myself super well balanced on my sit bones. But now I do. I've kind of fanned them out. Now lifting heels. What awesome balance we have, right? Now we're going to unhook and take boat pose. Let our boat float. Again, notice shoulders don't want to round. Plug in your shoulders and be taller and kind of pull yourself together. How long are we going to hold this pose? A few more deep breaths. You're doing great. Right leg forward, left leg back. Oh, how gracefully we transform into pigeons. How gracefully did you transform into pigeon? It's all good. Did you get there? I hope so. Sometimes I really miss being in the classroom with people. All right, we rise. If you lowered to the ground, let's peel up. And let's, again, how smoothly can we shift our pigeon? Recentering, sinking softly, and breathing deeply. All right, peel ourselves up again. Onto your seat. I'm gonna review a bridge pose. Right, once you lie back, let's build a bridge. And if you need to move shoulders and arms around a little bit to establish better balance in your bridge pose, please do that. Or maybe you need to shift your footprints slightly. Establish your balance. And lift your middle. Filling 360 degrees of your belly, ribs, and chest with those gorgeous deep breaths you're taking. Slowly bring your bridge down. Let it dissolve. Bottom is heavy when bridge is down. And let's give our right knee a hug. And there's a sense of balance as we hug right knee towards right rib cage. And change legs. All right, both knees given a big hug, knees to chest. Now bent legs are being hugged. You can lighten up the hugging action and let your bent legs fall to the left side of the mat. Legs are heavy, stacked, rested. Left hand, I'm lying it gently on my right outer thigh. My right arm is going up the mat along the ground, extended upward along the ground. Feeling your breath really traveling through the right side of the body. Shoulders relaxing. All right, let's come back to center. Legs hugged, 2 legs, knees to chest. Ease up the hug and roll legs to the right. Right hand gently placed on the outer left thigh. Left arm up overhead along the ground. Tuning into how the breath is moving very clearly down the left side of the body. All right, back to center. Let's go for that twist again. Gotta be honest, this is my new favorite twisting variation. Right arm up overhead, along the ground, and relaxed. And let's come back to center, knees to chest. Bent legs rolled to the right. Settling into that stretch, and then applying the arm movement. Left arm extends up overhead along the ground, and your back body is resting on the ground as you twist. Breathing in deeply, belly, ribs, chest, filling that space completely. Om Namah Shivaya means to honor the divinity within you. So do that. Oxygenate every cell as you breathe deeply. Come back to center. We're going to put butterfly legs on the ground. Take your right hand, lay the palm gently on the lower belly, and your left hand palm to heart space. Arms relax, shoulders relax, hips relax. Reclining bound angle pose. And your hand placement, you can feel how the hands rise on your inhalation. And the hands sink softly on your exhalation. Stay tuned in to those qualities of your breath. Now extend your legs, extend your arms. You're in your final relaxation pose, Shavasana. Your back body is resting on the ground, well supported. And your front body is skyward. And you can feel the lengthening, the expanding and contracting actions happening. You are divinity in motion. You are dynamic action. Don't ever forget that. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for coming to class tonight. Starting to twinkle your fingers and toes. Twinkle through your hips. Twinkle a little through your ribs and shoulders. Awakening again. Making your way back to the surface. Thanks for getting happy with me over the last hour. I'm so glad we all made it. Especially me, since I'm your teacher. Thanks for being here.